right, welcome back, viewers, to our another exciting episode of our podcast series, the Young Tuck Dialogues by Cropsticle, and this is our episode number 82. And today we have Anuja with us. She has amazing LinkedIn following, and we are super excited to give you a brief about Anuja. She has worn many hats over last 2 decades, not just one, but many. And now she is the founder of her own businesses. Yeah.
That's
So yes, multiple hats. That's what a founder's life look like. So she is right now the founder of her own businesses. One is the, I think if I am not wrong, FlexiCloud, and other is Aurea,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. So in the
Primarily
last meeting,
ventures, but I do have other startups as well. But
right.
my main focuses are into this too.
Yeah. So last time I did not got the name right, so I hope this time the name was right. And also Anuja has been Forbes top 200 startups, and there is a lot more about her that we are going to be discussing and learning from her journey. So let's us directly deep dive into our podcast. So like of course every founder has their own unique journey. So Anuja, let us start with that. How was these 2 decades of experience?
Oh my
Where
God,
it began?
you're kind of like so everybody. So Anmol, before I begin, I'll just tell you any interview that's taken or any podcast that's done. Literally, I relive those moments
Yeah.
because I feel that oh my God, did I really do that? And then it's like a pause, and then yeah, I did. Otherwise, right now they would not be asking me this. So, but 2 decades, yeah, kind of like not 2 decades actually. I would say a decade. A decade was more on a corporate thing, but if you say it like we are in 2025, so 2013 to 2025, yes, little bit more than a decade. But
Little
yeah,
or more than it.
but what I've learned is uh, no college, no school, no university, nothing taught me this. No mentor, nothing. So I think what I learned from the ecosystem was something beyond even I can comprehend, I would say. But it has improvised me as a founder, as uh, even as a mentor today. Even I'm a brand strategist, basically. I build brands. So I'm a
Right.
strategist. Uh, uh, so my marketing strategies, how I build brand, how I actually understand what is a niche of it, how exactly I take these brands through my designs, through the content, through story, through everything, how I compile all these things and then put across the before that I find the ideal customer profile for the exact client of my I mean the client who actually requires a particular set of audience. So we crack it, we find who are the ideal customer profiles for them. So we do a lot of R&D in our system, and then we come across to how to place it. So we build it, we position it, we also manage it. So that is what primarily I do. So in these like more than a decade, to start with, I am an engineer. I started my career as an engineer. So people usually
So we
kind
should
of
name this
wonder.
podcast from engineer to a brand strategy, right?
Yeah, I'm a brand strategist. So
Yes.
there is a lot of work because recently one of my associate and my client was telling me, what do you do actually? Because this is so uh, like cluttered and like too much things. Like sometimes I wonder what is the exact thing that you are into, your niche is into. So I tell him that see, my niche is into I build brands, but rest of the things, anything you take, being a founder of tech companies, by being a startup mentor, being an investor, being a all the other being a LinkedIn influencer, being anything and everything revolve around one simple thing. What I do, I try to build that particular venture, whether it's in the product industry, whether it is in the service industry, whether it is a startup, whether it is an MSME, whether it is a corporate enterprise, doesn't matter. I exactly understand what they require. I connect that dots. I place it very well. I elevate it towards a way in which people can conceive it like a brand growing, and then I position it where people understand that yes, this is a brand, this is a company or a venture that is worth to be a brand. So this is what I do. So in my tech companies, I understand over the years what exactly we do. I am not a precise tech person, by understand tech. That's a big thing. Compared to a non-techie, that's a big thing to understand what is tech. So today I speak tech. Today I am also a tech evangelist. I also am connected to so many tech ecosystems where I speak about tech. But when I speak about tech, also I talk about the binaries of tech, and then I tell that how this tech can be converted into the other areas where common man can understand what you're talking about, because you can't talk Hebrew to a person who doesn't understand.
Right,
So that
correct.
is that conversion, that transformation is what I do. So, but the thing is that sometimes I talk on the journey, sometimes I talk on the, but again, people think that, oh my God, is she a motivational speaker or something? Or am I a coach, trainer? So these are the subsidiaries or the subsets of what I do primarily, where that comes as a, like we say, as an accessory it gets on, or these are the add-ons or the perks that comes into it because of the journey, precisely of the journey. Because I didn't had a journey when I started from a civil engineer, turned into an entrepreneur one fine morning, even understanding what is the definition of an
So,
entrepreneur.
so what exactly happened there that you one day decided to become an entrepreneur?
Okay, I didn't decide. Anmol, I didn't decide. That's the first thing I know. So I call myself an accidental entrepreneur. So this is a keyword which I have kind of tagged me. I'm an accidental entrepreneur because I never had an intention of doing a business or starting something. Nothing. But today I am someone who actually eat, brew, think, everything that is connected to entrepreneurship. Anything, any idea which I meet my friends are kind of like, can you stop it? Because somewhere I talk about the concept where it evolves into something like a business model or a revenue. So are some of the words I use mostly in a day-to-day life is ROI, positioning. I mean, these are the key, because somewhere you have your persona is evolved like that. At the end of the
That
day, you will speak like that. So but the same me before like a decade, maybe 13 years ago, I kind of like, I didn't know anything about this. I stepped into this like kind of this very new world, testing the waters unknowingly, as we say, no, इतनी अनजान थी कि I didn't even know, oh my God, when the failure was happening, is it a failure? Because these days startups do understand, oh my God, are we doing good? Is there attraction? Should we pivot? I didn't know there was a word called pivot. So I was in Dubai, I was a civil engineer, I was settled with my family over there. So one fine day we decided that because kids needs education, my education is good out here, and my husband was on constant traveling, I thought we'll just move back to India, where I'll have support from my parents and rest of the people around. So one fine morning I decided, let's move back to India, and then we can fly over and stuffs like that. But I think India would be the right place. So we settled out, we bought a home out here and all those stuffs. And then I was, so meanwhile, it was kind of like, I didn't want to make a corporate entry again, because I just want a little bit of space, and you understand it, right? So
yeah,
my dad told me it was better you go to a college where the timing is 9 to 4 or something. It would be great for you. You'll have more family time. And my kids were also small. So kind of like one was in fourth and the other one was in first. So then I thought, fine, I'll do that. But what happened was that I was trying to help a group of students to get their placement done, because I have a background of corporate. So doing that, I understood that what exactly engineering is getting into. Because the time when I was learning it, we were more kind of self-trained people. Even there were teachers uh, who knew what to be taught, and the rest of the part is something we need to do it by ourselves. So there was an era like that, because everything where self-financing colleges were kind of like poaching everything up and stuff. So I thought that students were lacking something. So I created a concept called likes, learning innovative key employment skills, wherein a student will be kind of made into a professional because of understanding certain things which he or she needs to turn from a talent, to kind of like nourish their talent and get a bit of skill, so that companies or corporates can hire them. So I understood that earth is, so I created a panchatattva of a professional, which is called earth, which is basically your upper technical thing, sharpen it. So whatever you're studying in engineering, what is a good thing, or what are you great at? A, are you ready to take a basic training of it, so that company doesn't need to waste their time on it to get you trained? So if you're good, then they can do the next level. So I had a kind of like a collaboration with corporates as well, that I'll give some trained people. B, I thought of that it is a very important thing that I mean, we are all good at what you are passionate about.
Correct.
Not let's do some psychological, because I thought, I always knew that, am I contented with the corporate? Was it something which I wanted to do? Am I doing the right thing? So this was something which always kind of like bothered me. So this is something which I thought I'll include in this, a psychological parameter, which makes sure that what is your hobby turned passion turned. So even hobby can't be something that can be made your profession, but still, if you have an interest, a talent, which can be converted to a business with a right approach, along with some right people, or whatever kind of like understand, getting trained under right people or something like that, you can improvise, you can make the better version of it, rather than you get into something which you're not good at, where you don't love it, you're just majboori mein, yeah, you're just compromising it. So, third one was air communication skills, where you have that language to communicate, because communication is very important, because if what you are trying to convey, the other person doesn't understand, the whole point of what you know goes. That's why I said, no, if you don't know Hebrew, I need to speak in your language. That's what most of the techies go wrong, because they're kind of PhD holders, kind of, they talk in that level, but you're
Right.
sometimes you might be talking to a KG kid. So how does it work? So this is what I kind of like say, keep it simple, make them understand that, don't talk about codes, don't talk about any of these things, talk about a simple person, which can be an analogy to them, something analogous to them. That's how it works. So that was the third thing. Fourth was motivational, in the sense, because we are living a so stressful life, sometimes you give up very fast. So you should not give up very fast. You should understand that it doesn't matter that you fail or it didn't go well, but you need to keep on trying if it is your passion, something like that. So because people get, this generation used to get demotivated very fast. And the last
Yeah.
is corporate etiquette, kind of like, the way you look, what you talk, what you wear. So this was something I created. This was my brainchild, which I understood that something, if I would have had, maybe I would be the best skilled person in the world. So this is my point of view, which I try to conceptualize into an idea, uh, which I started working on. When there was another co-founder of, a professor of mine who actually joined with me. So from there we started. But as it was going around, I understood that things are not as easy as it thinks. I mean, as it sees, because this is my idea, and like every other founder, my idea is the best idea. I never
Yes.
had an
Correct.
implementation strategy. So 3 months down the line, she was like, kind of like, the money I was spending was all about. Then she was like, "No, I'm not going to do this because I think I won't put money. You are taking the risk. You can take." So I thought, no, I'll take a risk, because as they say, no, डर के आगे ही जीते. So I took the risk, because I didn't know that it is a time to pivot. I didn't know that before pivoting, I didn't know that I didn't had an implementation strategy. I just had a concept. How will it implement? How would I take to the people? How would the students know it? And that too on a large scale, because this is a volume game. So it's just a concept. So no rocket science, and family also was very against. According to them, this female has gone mad, because a normal female who was good at what she does, now she's talking something which none of us understand, and she's bad. Literally, that's the thing. She's really entrepreneurship. That word was banned in my house. Okay, my father used to say, "Don't even utter that word." So I understood that. So I kept quiet. I understood that if I go, I take it further ahead. Uh, it is going to be something like which where I'll never become an entrepreneur. By the time I understood that this is called entrepreneurship, where you have to provide others job, where you have to find money for yourself. So you're taking liability and responsibility of others. having an idea that at one point of time you might succeed, but till that you will have to hold up, and you have to bring revenue not only for you but for the rest of the people
But
and
for
for the
the
rancher too. So that much समझ मुझ में आ गया that this is what is entrepreneurship. That is what my concept of entrepreneurship. First thing. Second thing was that with the idea only it doesn't work. You need to understand the channels, how it works. So how do you think? So that made me understand that okay, I need to know more. I need to because I was just a engineer turned person from an academia bringing it, and then I understood academia is not my real area. Then I thought marketing would be right, because even as an engineer I was more connected with clients, talking a way through them, of giving solutions to them. So I thought marketing, because I could convince people in a better way, because I understand the actual problem, and then I think about it. It's more like kind of understanding it like a doctor. That was something which I was good at. So I thought maybe marketing would be right for me. So I went to corporate. I joined there. I got into a real estate firm. I became head of sales and marketing, and then from there, I understood that okay, I knew now I have a bit of a business network and something which I can pull it up. So I started in 2017 again. I started the same company in the same name, but as a marketing firm.
okay,
So
got it.
2017, 13 से हम अभी 17 पे आ गए. And now what happens is that everything was going good. I had a good network. I it was like mainly a solopreneur stuff, because it was mainly into marketing strategy. I need to do some SWOT. I need to do a competitive analysis. So I had a set of people who would do the research for me. But everything was something which is run by me. Tech was not involved in it. And I am the sole person who is accountable for everything. In the meantime, I went for a family trip for 13 days where I couldn't take my phone. I didn't use my phone. So by the 14th day when I returned, I understand that my company is going through a lot of crisis. And that is the point I understood that remote entrepreneurship doesn't work. And my family was very particular that I don't take my work in vacation with family. So that's the reason my phone was kind of like not. But today you ask me, sorry, phone is something which I can't live with. Whatever is it, however is it. You judge me,
Right,
not a
right.
problem for me.
For
But
entrepreneurs, it is totally
because
something.
yeah, that is the life of an entrepreneur. So I speak entrepreneurship. If that is a bugging problem, that is it. I can't help it, because that is how we are molded. So I
Right,
always
right.
also tell people that everybody can't be an entrepreneur. Trust me, everybody
Correct.
can't be. Some are great professionals. That doesn't mean that less talented or less skilled, because entrepreneurship is something, it's a different breed. You need to have that to pull it, to go through it, to survive it, to beautifully come out of it. So it's kind of like it's a journey thing. So for me it was like a journey thing. So I kind of like are not a very good promoter, or I don't encourage that you have an idea, go to the investor, pitch it, get. So I'm not an investor based kind of entrepreneur. I'm more a journey kind of entrepreneur, but you need to understand. So today, like you said, I wear multiple hats because the journey taught me I can do a lot of stuff. So that is the reason why whatever I've learned today, I'm reaping it because I'm an entrepreneur by journey. That's the only
So,
reason. That is why that is why I can do all these things. If you're an investor, you're in a comfy zone, you get investment, you can do a lot of, you have money with you. You don't need to play the chicken and egg game. It's like when you don't
right,
have money, it's a chicken and egg game. Chicken, egg, chicken, egg. When you have money, you cut this loop, you put money, you scale it up, you can hire people. So I think, I personally think that your initial journey should be bootstrap for sure. You learn a lot of things. You need to pull it. You need to step out of your comfort zone. So this time it was kind of like I created a co-working ecosystem kind of thing where I thought I'll have a backup if needed to pay my rent. If I have too many people, the other rest of the spaces which I don't need, I give because I anyway did my interior. So that is where 2017 I created a co. Now I'll have to mention something. 2013 there was no edtech system. The likes I was talking was like a kind of like a similar edtech system. Again, ahead of time.
right.
Another lesson. Again, 2017, there was no co-working thing. Co-working thing started post-COVID or
Hmm.
during that time. Be very feeble. But now it's kind of like, it's like co-working system itself is like a startup system.
Correct.
So
That
uh,
is true.
I started it 2017. I don't know, ideas brew within me like anything. I started 17, but again the problem is that I didn't know the legal implications. I didn't know the structural part. It was all concepts to me, and I was a solopreneur. So the problem is that one of my vendor didn't pay to their client, so the official address was ours, which became a later on a problem. From there, it started the real problem, wherein I had to wind up my company. I paid this money. So when one came up, the other vendor came up. The line of vendors came in, where I had to settle all of them because I didn't want my family to know that I am in a mess. So I never faced financial problems ever in my life. But from there, I started understanding every dime counts, every single penny counts. So that is how I learned. I might not be good at finance even now, but I know the basic math, incoming, outgoing, expense, revenue generation. So that much part I learned from that journey. Again, the second journey was more about remote entrepreneurship can may not be done. Second thing is that you need to have legal bindings. You need to have the know-how. You can't say that just because you're alone, it doesn't mean that you can be fooled that way. So you need to and also you need to create backups. If things go wrong, what is the other alternatives you have? So I never thought things would go wrong, because when things go right, people have an anticipation. Things are going right, why do you need it? So I always say that there's never like life, success and failure is also never a single line. It's like it might go up and down. So some days may be good, sometimes may be great, sometimes some days might be kind of like the worst. So you need to live up with that. That is an entrepreneurial journey. So you'll have mood swings, you'll have mental pressure, you'll have stress. Whenever I have kind of like even fever. See, basically, there's no time for all these things. So I kind of like postpone my dental appointments like anything. So my doctor is mad at me. My stylist, she gets mad at me. Even if I go for a
That's what the journey of an entrepreneur is. So
correct.
one thing that I realized that you have spoken is like it is the identity that is there, right? So and right now this year 2025 is going. So for the entrepreneurs who are watching this, so let us talk a bit about how you as an individual, how based on your experiences you define brand identity in 2025 and what has changed over the years that you have seen.
Oh
So
my
it
God,
will be more
what a nice
relatable.
question. Yeah. So in this journey, because journey is like 10 years journey, I am giving you
Yes.
in snippets. So I can't
So that's
compile.
where
So
it
I'm just
more relatable.
trying to take the snippets of every essence of it. So kind of like I had huge debt, and then from there I became a consultant. I started with a 25,000 rupees basic work, and from there I created Oria to a martech company where I had my co-founders come in after. But before that, I established my system, okay, and then I had my co-founders, and I was sure of whom did I want my as my co-founders. So then I had niche experts who will handle finance, who will handle tech, who will handle the other tactical marketings, because I am a strategic marketer. So today I have systems which cover up all of these things. So if, like you said, your question was precisely on how do I see 2025 entrepreneurship and like 2013 entrepreneurship. That was your
Yes.
first question. So if I may tell you, now entrepreneurship is a bit more clarified in a lot of sense. There are a lot of systems that can help us. Ecosystem is very supportive, especially for women. When I started, there were no women entrepreneurs as such. We are all entrepreneurs. We're all surviving. I mean, trying to survive or like that. Today, again, that's the plus point of it. That I mean, a lot of perks comes with entrepreneurship. You get investors actually, and then you have a good idea. Incubators also will come with grant seeds and a lot of things. These were there before also, but it was not that very accessible. Now, because of the digital world and post COVID, because of the remote kind of ecosystem we have framed, a lot of things are kind of like, location is never a barrier. We can get people, we can, a lot of things were there. That was not there like 10 years back. But again, a lot of disadvantages are also there. If you talk about the perks, we should talk about the other side. Today,
Right.
entrepreneurs are not by journey, I would say, because now entrepreneurs are kind of like quickie thing, because they are inspired by Shark Tanks. They're inspired by, because I'm being blunt, okay? I'm telling what I feel, because I've seen all these things. And even students.
Everybody who starts, they start with a perspective कि मैं investment लूंगा and it is done.
Correct. And
पैसे
one
आ
more thing,
जाएंगे.
they see the entrepreneurial life as a glamorized world.
Yes, they want that glamour. पैसा आएगा account में, मैं बड़ी
Huh,
गाड़ी में
huh.
घूमूंगा. So it is not about
Look at
building
all
the
the
company
founders.
with
Look at all the
lifestyle.
founders, because kind of like we are invited. We are kind of like we're given that celeb status. Including me, I go to events. I go to the way they talk about me, the way they talk about my success, the incredible person I am. All these things are spoken,
Right.
where people are kind of like, people write to me. I get a lot of messages in LinkedIn, via mail, via, I don't know, through all channels. But the simple thing is that I always convey this message: startup ecosystem or an entrepreneurial life is not a glamorized one. That is what you see sitting
Yes.
there. That is not what we live. See, we had this interview at 5 o'clock. Unfortunately, 30 minutes delay because I was running to my back end course. It's not finishing, but I need to finish it, but I want to do this. You have to balance everything. Besides, I have multiple hats. So how do I do it? I do it because I want to do it. I put an effort to do it. It's
That
not
is true.
that I can sit and watch my watch movies. I can go to places where I just want to enjoy only. That doesn't happen to me, because everywhere I go, there is an event there. From there, 3-4 days I take, and I so I'm more a tour. I combine this tourist part along with being an entrepreneur part. But these days I've understood that there is a traveler part also in me, which the
Same
entrepreneur doesn't have a
concept.
luxury usually. Trust me, we're not that backpackers. We have to have everything, because we have to work everywhere.
Yes.
So
So that is
I
true.
think,
And one more thing, like here, I have a very relatable question. So, like we are discussing about branding, we are discussing about marketing, we are discussing
yeah,
about entrepreneurship. So one more thing. So right now, from the perspective of startups, we have discussed a lot of things. What do you think about legacy brand versus startup? What are the biggest mistakes they are making in marketing? What do you like? 2013 was different. 2025 is different. What
absolutely,
about that?
absolutely nice question again. So the problem is that people don't understand what is a brand. See,
True.
branding is not designing. The first thing is that I have seen n number of companies say vouching that they are branding companies. They're not.
Right.
What they're doing is that they have good designers. They come up with logo. Even people don't know what is a brand identity. Brand
Right.
identity, people, there's something called core identity and visual identity. What you see is the visual identity: your color palette, your designs, your logo, your typography, the pattern you use, everything. But when it is about brand identity, there is a core identity, the essence of your brand. What is actually you are doing that others can't do? What is your differentiator? And how do you see, it's not that you have a differentiator. How will you communicate to your client, or how will you communicate to your targeted audience? And the first mistake: are everybody your audience? No way. Startup is not like conventional business, because startup is bringing a problem where there is a big gap, where they're trying to solve it through their niche expertise. So there is something called spin theory, where situation actually leads to problem. Problem is not the real thing. The implication of the problem is the effect that the problem creates. That is
Right.
magnanimous. That is something which we can't control. What we can control is that if there is a situation, how can we reduce the gravity of the problem so that the impact is less? That's the only thing we can do. That we come up with something called need of. That is spin, spin. Situation leading to problem. Problem creates implication. Implication, if we have a need of, first of all, the situation itself might not rise, or the situation can be controlled, because after the effect take place, you can't reduce the intensity of the effect. So similarly, startups are into that framework, where they're bringing an innovative angle to it. What is it? Innovation. And another thing is that a startup should be scalable. You can't have one-to-one client always. You can sit only, you can't run the show. You should have multiple experts. You should have something, even evolve into a product world where it is scalable. Anybody can take it. You don't need to sell it. It in itself starts selling because there is a need of it. So scalability has different kind of variations. Now, then people think that, okay, I create an application, I create a product, everything is done. No. If you have something in the service industry which is very useful, focus on that. Because unless there is a service industry, how can these products be formed? So if you rightly, like you asked, 2025, product gained, D2C and product industry gained so much of attention. Service industry became something which people are not bothered about. Of course, service industry also struggles because they need to get retain clients. No, product always has retainers. That's a game. That's a
Correct.
different. But again, unless you have a nice service provider, you can't build anything. That is a power of the service industry. So it's a balance. We need to have both in the ecosystem. And
So
the thing
based
is,
on your Aura's experience, it is relatable to this. So based on Aura's experience, because you have built it from the scratch, what
correct.
goes into building a full-fledged thing that actually works in marketing?
Okay, so Oria is more a service kind of industry where we provide branding services. So
Yes.
because of that service industry, I could build multiple products. Even Flexi Cloud, I made it top 200. We made it. Me and my co-founders made it a top 200 startups because the service part was rightly done.
Hmm.
The basic product was going in the right sense because the experts were doing what needs to be done. So we positioned it in such a way that we became that. Now the issue is that uh, you need to know the balance. Since I am a founder who has run a product company, who owns a product company, who has a service company, I precisely understand the necessity of both and how both works. It is completely different. Zameen Asman ka fark hai. But you need to go through that. A founder should understand what is this, how it works. Otherwise, a problem is that a product guy always will think in a product way. He cannot understand what kind of services need to be incorporated, whether it needs to be incorporated. So most of the time, again, the negative point what I understood is that most of the founders comes with the concept and application is built. Again, they're not actually involved into it. Trust me, they're not actually involved in it because then they're ready to race it. This racing game is like a madness spree. Okay, I raise this much. Next, I'm racing. I'm racing. I'm racing. Okay, fine. I'm existing. Okay, this is an exit. So I'm not
And
trying
then
to.
they have an existential crisis
I
once
don't know.
they.
I don't know. Is it a message that is what we want to give to our coming generation? Okay, come, we build something, we scale it, we raise billions and trillions and all these things. So I won't say that. I mean, even we have raised, but I'm not telling you that uh, it is wrong or it is. But for sure, you should have a bootstrap experience. You should have a journey, and then when you really think that you need to scale up in a level where you need to have a collaborator, where investor is also a collaborator. You're kind of like you're getting into a marriage with them where you have a long journey to go. But
Right.
having too many cooks spoil the broth. Having multiple investors, several round of investment, even after a particular level, they don't know why are we racing actually,
Right.
and what are we building actually. So somewhere the attention is also going because ultimately it's all about the sales. It's all
Correct.
about the requirement of the customer. Do we have the customer who's really happy with us, even if it's a small subset? So I'm telling you, even if you're building something, at least a group of people, a set of people, a community is getting something out of it. Even then you're
So
successful. You
here,
don't need
one more
placement.
relatable thing I want to ask. Like you mentioned it rightly. So, what is your take on founder as the brand approach? Is it sustainable strategy for startup or a risky dependency?
Can you come again?
So, my question is basically relatable to this what we are right now talking. So, what is your take on founder as the brand approach? So, like I am the founder, it being the brand, and
I
is it
understood.
sustainable
It is
strategy
sustainable.
or
It is
risky?
sustainable. It is sustainable. Again, conditions apply. You become a personal brand. You don't. You only promote you as a brand. You don't turn up on your company. That is actually a problem. You become the voice of your brand. definitely can help. But again, what you do also should somewhere be connected with your companies. And you should also understand that you and your company together are a force. You're one, but again, you're different. That is something which is mostly kind of like a strategy which is complicated by most of the founders. Or rather, I'll say that personal brand is mostly for coaches, for trainers, and all that, because they are single. There's a kind of single person or one man show.
Right.
The other thing, a venture is never a one man show. It's like a leader who runs it, and there is a crew who actually follows it. So being a personal brand, if you ask me, definitely it's a plus point, because world knows the founder, because it's a human interaction. Okay, this person can do this. Okay, this person has done it. She or he won't give up. Okay, at least they have a solution. They have a metal. They have which how can you show that a venture has metal? Even you have a product, it depends upon the brain of the founders or the promoters. So if you keep yourself in a separate arena as a personal brand, definitely it works. But again, you're only making personal brand where you're not turning up into your startups of what they're doing, especially when you have multiple startups. It's also a problem, because then the identity crisis comes in, wherein what you're
You
doing.
are going with multiple startups. So here one more thing is there. What is the right time for a early stage startup to invest in brand building, in personal branding as well, and in terms of business branding?
Okay, so the first thing, branding is not something which needs to be done in the first stage for everyone. It depends upon domain to domain, niche to niche. For example, a premium kind of clothing or a premium kind of luxury resort, definitely they need branding first rather than marketing. But for a local kind of what do you call, um, a scenario, mostly it comes into a conventional business, a marketing approach combined with branding works. But definitely branding is a must for everybody, which people say that branding is not required. Regionally we'll be popular, we are popular, but scalability, of course you need branding, because you want to scale out of your place, or people, you want people to know that you exist, or you want to, even as a franchisee model, you can take it outside, you can be known, the world can know you. That happens only through branding. And again, branding is not a is not a design approach. It is a strategy which combined with all the parameters like content, design, strategy. Again, all these are basically coming under the strategic part. Now, implementation, the tactical approaches via using social media, via digital marketing, everything and anything, your website. But when everything comes in a line, then the magic works. But for that thing to, I mean, to create that line, everything is required. So branding is required, strategic marketing approach is required, tactical approach is required, tactical marketing approach is required, and also, I mean, all these things are good if the founder and the venture or the product or the service, something has a substance. It really works. It can pull it off. Otherwise, however branding I do, it isn't. It's just I can do my expertise. So
Right.
whenever a founder or a promoter comes to me, I simply tell them one thing: explain to me and make me understand that what is your uh, startup or venture, because it's not only startup, I do also do for MSMEs and other businesses, but I want to know what is this. At least a founder has to convey me, or rather than,
He should convince you so that
trust me, I don't take that kind of arrogant business people sometimes, where they are so sure they have money, they have everything. So the thing is that, I mean, that's not a right client for me, or I might not be the right person for them, because what you have, I can enhance it. I'm an accelerator, I'm a catalyst. So precisely that is what branding does. You have something, you need to showcase it to the world, you want to communicate to the world, you have everything, but you can't position it. I am the right person, I'm your girl, our services are the right opportunity. So, but again, people are very confused with, once they have it, they think that branding is something which every founder can do. Keep an in-house designer, put all my idea. Okay, I am also a strategist. So I've met many founders, they themselves are marketing strategists, they themselves are the builders behind the brand. I think that is the reason why they can't scale up beyond a point, in which they can't scale up. I'm not telling they've not scaled up or they've not outgrown, but in the capacity in which they are supposed to grow, they have not grown. That is a problem. So everywhere branding is required because it is an enhancer game. If the other akdas, if other variables are right, of course branding will help you. That is what post COVID. That is the reason why we have world works like that. No, sitting in US, you have a vendor out in India. India is a very good market. So because talents are so much, and there's a lot of resources out here.
True.
So, but we are not exploiting it. And even in India also, I think we have good clients out here. The people who really requires branding and these kind of strategic marketing approaches, because the first thing is that these are like phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. So branding and marketing, like you rightly asked, branding is usually the first thing and marketing comes second. You need to build all these things. Brand building needs to be done. Brand positioning can be done only when this second marketing approaches happen. But unless the strategic marketing approaches and the branding is not done, don't go for tactical marketing like digital marketing or SEO. Don't do it, because even if you do it, it's a really, really stupid gamble, because are seeing something which you have not modified or shaped or kind of shaped. The other thing, branding actually shapes you, gives a good face to the actual structure you have created. The attraction factor works, then the engagement factor works, then the conversion naturally happens. But here you spend a lot of money in digital marketing, you have not showcased you have not presented you well. What is the point? Exactly, that's the same thing. You go and meet a person, you maybe a date, maybe a marriage, maybe whatever is it, you're just going and meet, even a professional thing, whatever is that. The first thing is that you need to be presentable. You need to look good, you need to have that class, you need to have that poise, you need to have that elegance, all these things. Same as that of branding. You need to have all these variables in the proper format so that a person can start a conversation with you. Now, are you good with conversation? Can you take somebody's attention span? Can you try to convey it in simple words rather than complicating? What is this all about? There, the next process called trust or credential is built. So why do you need all these PR activities? Why is that you need to get all these? So people ask that, why do you nominate? Why is this award thing a day-to-day basis thing? No, recognition is very important, because when recognition happens, people hear about you. Then you build a credentials, because the more people try to talk it about, okay, that much people know you.
Right.
So again, visibility is first, then comes conversion. So again, before you go to lead generation, brand awareness is must. You need to educate people on what you do. That is precise. So this is something I think founders, promoters, business are all confused with. Why should you do it? And most of the time, some big companies or startup investment promoted companies, what they do is that maybe the founder has a subset of people who does all these things. So the founder is not knowing that these are the requirements I need.
Right.
So sometimes the team takes it. Founder even is not even aware of where his marketing team is doing what kind of collaboration. So I believe that whatever is that, entrepreneurship is a 24 by 7 job. Definitely you can take breaks, that's all fine, but you need to have a control over your system, however automated your system is. Trust me, I'm reiterating that word, however automated your system is, and you should at least know, you should at least cross check what is happening where, in which department, what is happening, however big is your employee set, or however small is your employee set. This is specifically, I'm talking about startup, okay, not the enterprise thing, because
So
startup
about the
needs to
startup,
bond.
I have one more relatable question, very relatable to the podcast, and you spoke about it earlier in the podcast as well. What challenges over this journey you have faced being a woman leader in tech and marketing? And how have these experiences shaped your branding principles?
Okay, well, nice question. You're bringing everything in one single question. Okay, good. Yeah. So being a woman, it was very hard for me initially, especially me from coming from South. Uh, I was kind of more on a conversational kind of approach towards people. to be very frank, I was not kind of bothered about what gender is the other person. I was always curious to understand what it is, how it's always. I actually speak a lot, so I'm curious to know and all those stuff. So I found women in that space. I didn't had a fellow woman in that space when I started. So mostly I was with men. So kind of like I had both uh, uh, kind of like great people to work with, some difficult to work with. I mean, opposite gender. Later on, the same gender came in. So that definitely it was initially difficult. Not perks were not there because I had my own principles. I was very adamant of what I wanted, and my kind of vision and my objectives were very clear. So I didn't want to kind of like give any wrong impression of what I want to do is something where I'm depending on someone else, rather that I would do it with. But if there is a collaboration, if there is a synergy that can be worked upon, yes. So this took me a lot of time to settle, because I could not compromise on my self-esteem. Basically, rather people would say it is ego, or rather people would say I'm more arrogant. I would say that uh, arrogance is not what people actually see. Arrogance is also can be sometimes can be mistaken for the word called self-esteem or pride, where yeah, this is what it is, how it is, I'm like this. So initially definitely I had a lot of problems. And even we have a culture in which women are supposed to do these kind of stuffs, like you start a boutique, you start a store, kind of like a saloon, or you kind of like start something which women can do. Okay, this is what women can do. I mean, at a point of time, not I'm not talking about this era. Okay, I started at that time. Kind of like sit as a lady partner and do all these stuff, rather than single-handedly become a alpha. Alpha was not allowed in that time. This conversation is very blunt, Anmol, because I've seen this. So for me, this journey, I would say that since I took that path, I understand what is alpha. An alpha is never afraid of another alpha. Alphas and alphas basically respect each other, because an alpha knows what is to be an alpha. And one more thing, a beta or a gamma is also respected, because a beta and a gamma are perfectly good to of what they do. But you need to be at least something. Alpha, beta, gamma. So women, I mean, in beginning it was kind of like we didn't have that space. Even now we don't have that space. But since some of us have identified that there is a space, and we don't believe in that gender disparity kind of telling that, oh, since I'm a woman, I need this. No, I'm a diversity evangelist. I say that if there is an opportunity, it should be a fair game. Open it to it. And since we are in minority, give us a bit of say. Try us. If it works, okay. If I don't have a brain, if I don't have my skill set, please cast me out. Don't give me that sympathy and empathy because I'm a woman. Yeah, you will take that service. So that is the reason why I mentioned it, I remain to be an alpha, always an alpha. And this alpha thing of mine has helped me in the brand approach. That is the reason why precisely in the beginning of the conversation you asked me, why do I wear all these hats? I didn't wear these hats. I was crowned these hats because people believe that I could do that. Though it took me time. Definitely it took me time. I started in 2013. Anmol, you are doing a podcast with me in 2025. Sharon did a podcast with me, I suppose, in 2023. So, yeah. Today, I'm a startup mentor to multiple incubators, including IMITs, everything. I am a speaker to systems. I'm a coach. I don't know what they name. I think I am. It is the perspective of people what I am.
Yes.
You are talking to me as a founder, because you want this podcast is specifically, I agreed to do this irrespective of my very busy schedule, because I understand what is the essence you're trying to do. Because right now the conversation is precisely a founder to founder,
Correct.
not an influencer asking me these kind of questions.
Correct. No, that is why I told you when we had our first call that this conversation is going to be amazing, because I can
It
when energy
resonates,
is
Anmol. It
matching,
resonates because it's a founder
it
synergy.
resonates.
It resonates
Yes.
because we are in a space where we understand. I told you, everybody can't become an entrepreneur. That's a
Correct.
different league of its own. But to be successful, you don't need to be an entrepreneur. You can be a great person. So let's not think that, if you didn't become that, oh, I became this. But okay, you want to become something, as Paulo Coelho said, you can become that, whatever you manifest, yes. But even the great Abdul Kalam sir said the same thing. It's not, the dream is not what you see in sleep. When you're awake, what you, everything connects. Everything talks about simple thing. What you want, you have to put effort for it. How far you will go for it. How far you will ensure that you won't give up on your dreams. And what you want, you won't compromise yourself or anything on that matter. You are ready to wait. You will not you will not take shortcuts. It's okay that I don't become a multi-billion dollar company, but I am perfectly fine with what I've achieved, because I want to achieve this on my terms, not on somebody's terms. I think that is what entrepreneurship is. So
Perfect.
I lived it. And I think that is my confidence, which let me make a personal brand of my own. Somebody said I'm an influencer. I mean, a few days back, a client was telling me, "You are a real influencer." I said, "I'm not an influencer. I'm an entrepreneur." So he was telling me, "No, you actually influence people, because when you talk, somewhere people resonate. Students resonate, entrepreneurs resonate, startups resonate, sometimes even business people resonate, even enterprises and corporate resonate. My LinkedIn is resonated by different set of categories, because every angle I write, I still don't write about my company or products. So few of my co-founders asked, why exactly you don't promote your thing? So I said, no, I am talking about entrepreneurship. I want to talk about entrepreneurship. First, because I want to educate people on what this is. Then I talk about my products or brands. People could resonate rather than simply going on. See, sometimes you have to give to take. That's how it is. When you give, sometimes you can take which you never intended to take, because it comes to you. That is a law of nature. But
Yes.
the problem is that we are in a rat race, or we are in such a fast changing or evolving world. Sometimes we can't sit and think of what we actually want. Some of us, my associate, we have like kind of a tribe of entrepreneurs across globe even. So we sometimes sit and talk of what we exactly want after a point. Okay, fine, I reached here. Okay, what next? So today I say that, entrepreneurs also can contribute. That's what I do through my LinkedIn. Sometimes the panels I do, or even the podcast, because somewhere there might be a founder or a group of people who even don't know that they might be having a chance of being an entrepreneur, like me, an accidental entrepreneur. I think they no need to go through so much hardships. That is where a mentor is required. Of course you need a mentor. Of course you need experts to tell you what is that. You don't need to do every time foolishness to learn by yourself. You know what has happened by that time? You lose time. So right now my problem is that since I've lost 10 years, I am in a light year speed. That's the reason why I wear multiple hats. So now you understand, Anmol, why I wear multiple hats. Because I want to do everything in that span, which I couldn't do. Right now I'm doing. Again,
So,
effort.
part of, as you mentioned about giving. So, what is the so it is like kind of a in fun and insightful kind of a question. What is that one book that you will suggest to the audience who is watching, of entrepreneurs, marketers, startup founders, MSME founders,
My
that
book.
they must?
My book. I wrote a book. Good.
Yes.
I didn't want to self market, but since you gave me a chance, as an entrepreneur, I'm also an opportunist. My book, World is a Brand. So I've written about case studies of how I have understood, how my journey, I have understood that what is a brand. So from the brand management sessions I've taken from IIM Bangalore to the strategic marketing part I've taken from Wharton, I've understood a lot of stuffs, because knowledge is very deep. The more you go into it, you understood detailing. Actually, if you do the detailing, things become simple. The problem is that after we only go on a superficial or a periphery level. You don't go deep. That is the reason why every time it's complicated. So the thing is that if you go through the hard way, things can become simple, because the first is the hard way. Then things, because by the time you are tamed, you are actually kind of like accustomed or kind of adaptive. And yeah, there are multiple books which I feel uh, I kind of like are Alchemist is one of my favorites,
Yeah,
which is
Alchemist is
not kind of like typical entrepreneurial stuff, but definitely I love that. Uh, then Who Moved My Cheese, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. There are so many books like.
no,
Uh,
but we will mention the link of your book down in the
yeah,
description.
please, because you want to build a brand, then that's the I mean the right book, I would say. Okay, and I've kept a very nominal price for it, because I wrote that book also not to become an author, because I'm not an author. I was just sharing my experience, because I believe at 250 rupees, if people can buy it, just like a less than a Starbucks actual good coffee.
Yeah.
I
No, no,
even
it
made
is.
a tagline for it. For a
Yeah,
coffee,
very reasonable.
such a book.
So now, last two questions I will ask. One
Yeah.
is that if you, based on your experiences now, if
Mm.
you had to launch a new startup tomorrow,
Huh.
what niche would you enter?
Oh my God, that's a very difficult question, Anmol, which I'm doing right now. See, rather than entering startup, what I've done is that I have kind of invested in kind of like as a mentor, as a advisor, or even as kind of like not a precise CSO, but a co-founder kind of support to many of the companies which I've worked as. Maybe some are my clients, some are kind of my associates, where I am doing that now, where I put them as a portfolio bucket list, where I know I have only to do this much stuff. Rest of the things will be handled by these 6 people. I'm also creating a kind of ecosystem where I have all experts combined together, where we provide all 360-degree services. That is something which I'm working on now, rather than to build a startup, because I don't want to build a startup, because that takes a lot of time. Because now I'm very clever and mold. I've understood that more than building a startup, I can do one thing. I can just do the rap for startups. That's the best thing I do. And like I said, when you're passionate about something, make that your profession. It's the best thing.
That is true.
So
And
one thing I forgot to mention, since you asked about the diversity part, I also have a NGO called Need, Nurturing, Enhancing, Empowering Diversity. I'm a hardcore diversity evangelist. So I've created something based on my experience as a women founder. So initially, I used to do more a women empowerment, or like, then I understood women doesn't need empowerment; they just need some kind of opportunities. And later on, I met few diversity evangelists who were differently abled, and then I had an exposure to the LGBTQ community. That is where I understood that they are also suffering through a lot of problems in a different way, which the normal mundane people cannot understand. So that is the reason why I kind of like, it's an anthem for me. That is not something which is connected to the commercial part of entrepreneurship. This is something very different, wherein I support all these three communities, where it is women, LGBTQ, or uh, differently able, because I think their contribution towards this ecosystem can bring a lot of flavors, because I think their limitation itself is their power,
right.
because they can go beyond the comfort zone.
No, it is amazing that you brought it up. Now,
Yeah.
one last thing.
Yeah.
What will be your top 5 advices to your 25-year-old self if you are starting at it?
First advice, I would do the same blunders, I would do the same mistake, I would do everything what I did. I think my young self was actually great, because I didn't think much. So I think, because I
First,
didn't give too much flavors to what I want to become, I literally had a clarity, or rather, I would say maturity, at the point of time when I wanted maturity, when I wanted to become mature. Still, I'm child
so
at heart.
first mistakes.
Yeah, still I'm a girl at heart. But I understand that it is not with age you become mature. It is with understanding you become mature. So that happened all because I did all stupidity, all blunders. I lived life at my, I didn't become an entrepreneur at the age of 25. Maybe I could not live that. So all my experiences after becoming an entrepreneur, I think it gave me a balance. So that's the first advice. Then second thing is that I would, so that is a major thing, okay, because that covers a lot of things. But if
Yes.
you would tell me, not 25 years old, 35 years old, there I have some kind of things I feel that, oh my God, I should have taken some. I would have taken a great mentor, which could have helped me to climb this ladder quickly. I should have had more experts on my board. I should have more uh, experts also as my co-founders rather than me alone pulling this journey. And I have OCD to perfection, which I have relatively, I'm shedding it little by little, but still the OCD part is OCD part. It will not leave me completely, but I'm trying to minimize it as much as I can. I'm reducing part. So that part also something which I think 35 years old me could have not be so kind of like cringe to the fact, oh my God, I want it like this. When I reach here only, I'll do this. So you don't need to do that. You don't need to wait for that perfect kind of startup. There is no perfect kind of startup. There's no kind of perfect kind of like, there is nothing called perfect, which I never knew. But entrepreneurship also taught me one thing. You are the most amazing person to ever be created on earth with your, when you realize that your imperfection are also you. You are everything what you are. You improvise on those areas which you want to improvise, but that is something which you have to decide, not others. This is something which I didn't know at that age. I used to hear everybody, okay, when I hear them, I think, oh my God, this is right. Oh my God, this is right. Again, the third thing which I felt at that age was that I thought I was wrong. Always I was wrong. Anything happens, I say I am accountable. So today you ask me, I say no way. If I am accountable, I take it. If you are accountable, sorry, I won't take the shit. Be my guest. You take it. This I didn't know. Third learning. Fourth learning, I would say that uh, life is very beautiful. Life needs to be lived in that way. You can't run away from problems. You have to face it. Fear is not face everything and no, fear everything and run. It's face everything and rise. So this thing I didn't know. The earlier I would have known, I could have turned up the table again into a different thing. But again, like in the first part, I said maybe this is a journey. This has to be supposed to like the. I mean, this is how it is. Maybe the choices you take matters a lot. Trust me, every choice you make at every nook and corner, it actually diverts your life or navigates your life to anything. So while making a choice, you need to be clear on what choices you're making, and that choice should precisely depend upon you. This is the fourth thing I believe that you should make. You should never take a choice on behalf of someone, or when you're not emotionally stable or just out of an impulse. You should never take a choice. Make a choice when you really think that, okay, this is a choice I'm making, and I stand by the choice whether it goes left or right. That's the fourth thing. Fifth,
Important.
very important, very, especially for entrepreneurs, this is very important. And the fifth most important thing I believe that you really, really, really have to have a balance in life. Even though you might be sometimes imperfect in a lot of things, sometimes your goals of being the best mother, the best daughter, best wife, everything might not best professional, everything might not be best.
Correct.
Sometimes some might be ridiculous, but you can improvise on everything as much as you can, which doesn't give you a freaky feeling that, oh my God, no, I can't live this. Why is life so horrible and traumatic? Don't go to till that extent. However, whatever is that you can mend beyond a point. Just let's not worry on what we can't control. Let's control things which we can control. Oneself, not others. I mean, not as a system also. What you can control, you can control. What you can't control, just don't go behind it and waste your time, your energy, and you don't put everything at risk. This is the last lesson I've learned. And I also understand that um, balance is also sometimes very important. So that is the
Yes.
reason why I travel most. I actually spend a lot of time with my kids. I have two kids. My son Ahil is in Australia, who's 21 years old. My daughter is 18 years old. I actually spend a time, though it's minimal or however, since they're studying, but quality time I spend, because I believe that rather than being a successful person or somebody who influences the world, I also believe that I need to be a great mom. Because if I can't give my children the best what I can give them, at the end of the day, if they don't become great humans, I think if I become a successful entrepreneur also, if I fail as a mother, I think that is the biggest failure ever anybody can face. Mother's perspective.
Perfect.
Five.
Yeah. On that note, you have covered it all, I will say.
I told you, no, I'm perfect. I'm a perfectionist to cover everything.
Yes.
So I cover it.
So it was an amazing episode, and for
Thank you.
first of all, like thanks to you who gave so
My
much
pleasure.
value in this episode, and then secondly, thanks to our audience who have watched this episode to air. To our audience, do check out the book link in down in the description, and in case you have any questions, comment down in the comment section, or you can reach out to me, or we'll put Anuja's LinkedIn there. You can reach out to her there as well. So on that note, I would say thank you so much, Anuja. Before closing this episode, would you like to say anything, or shall we?
Thank you, Anmol, so much, because uh, you ask the right questions, I would say, rather than me answering the right answer. Right questions are very much important, because when you provoke the right questions only, I can give the right precise answer, rather than you going on a cliche question of, okay, start your journey. Initially when I was going, I was also doing that pattern, because this is something which I always give pattern, where, okay, I start from my journey, I give a big story by the time the time ends. But here you made sure that every question you asked was resonating to some incident that happened in my life, again to my story. But everywhere, at least I could come up with a final conclusion that, okay, this is what I learned in each phase of my life. So as an entrepreneur, especially as an entrepreneur, so I think that would be a giveaway to people who are watching it. So it's not on the number of people who are watching it, it is
Right.
on the people who want to watch it. So I think you did a great job, and it was like exciting, I mean, incredible, like we
Super
said on the
exciting.
first I mean, talk, or just random talk we had. We both knew that we would gel very well. We didn't had a basic script. This is like a
Correct.
very kind of like, but people, I don't know how many people would believe that we really knew these questions before. But this is how it should be, because I think the essence of podcast is always about asking the right question, getting the right answer, understanding what that person can deliver to the audience, where there is a key takeaway to the people who are listening it, and also both of us who are spending time of something we're making out of it. So I think, thank
Right.
you, Anmol, for a wonderful interaction.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much.
And on that note, thank you to our viewers. Do like, subscribe, share this episode if you like it. And again, in case of any questions, please do let us know in the comment section. And we will be back again soon with another exciting episode on our podcast series, The Young Tech Dialogues. Till then, have a great day, guys.